Keep adding the chaps. Love it. I know there's going to be some questions on some of these. Sweet. So wind slabs. So one of my favorite ways to talk about wind slabs, they can happen on any type of exposed feature. So I'll make sure to mention, obviously, as they can form as snow falls out of the sky, or it can blow snow that's moving on the ground. But the key is that it's going to blow it, because what happens to that snow that gets blown is it gets pulverized. We have this like nice, pretty picture of like what a snowflake looks like falling out of the sky. But when that snow gets blown, especially horizontally, it gets kind of annihilated, broken up into a bunch of different pieces. So maybe on this side of the ridge, we can even have some like light, fluffy, unwind affected snow, right? Here's our nice fluffy flakes. And then over the ridge, we have like all this pulverized snow, right? It gets broken up to a bunch of little pieces. And as most of you know, when you have a bunch of little pieces, you can fit more of them in a given zone. And that's just a fancy way of saying something is denser or stronger or more cohesive than what's underneath it. And that's how we get wind slabs. A lot of times students will pick up on this. Well, like, man, Ian, that seems like way more different than a storm slab. I'm like, it's true. And that's why wind slabs take longer to go away. What's longer? Well, generally 3 to 7 days to go away. I also start to give them some actionable items. I try to relate it like, hey, if you're ever, pay attention to how the snow feels in the trees. If you're ever heading up this side and it's getting like shallower and shallower, you can take a pretty strong guess what's on this side of the ridge. Conversely, if you're like skinning on this side of the ridge, it's like light and fluffy and it's getting like punchier and deeper and like maybe a stiff, like you're going to feel that surface change. You're probably skinning onto a wind slab. And these are all things that like even a lot of our level 1 students can easily identify. I also take this time to really show them a couple of things that are often called out in a lot of avalanche centers. So like signs of recent drifting. The classic one I feel like is a wind textured snow surface, right? Looking for those changes in depth, right? These are things that are going to highlight that like, hey, that's a wind slab or there's a wind slab somewhere really nearby and people should be careful. These are all things that are in the A&O checklist. These are things that most avalanche centers are calling out quite regularly. So it's already starting to like clue them in to things to look for. Love showing a video when I choose a wind slab video. Like that first step, it was barely up to this person's ankle. And they're like 4 steps later, it's like over their boot. So you can just see how quickly they get that it's getting deeper. I'm sure this person can obviously feel how stiff it is, but that's one of the things I really look for in a good wind slab video is how it gets deeper quicker, because I think that's one of the hazards. Great wind textured snow surface for teachable moment for students.